Hello, okay, so let's continue with lesson 3.6, decimal subtraction. And in this lesson, where our essential question is, how can you use base 10 blocks to model decimal subtraction? Okay, so we're not actually going to be working on what we would consider a traditional way of subtracting decimals. We're going to be working on how can we make quick pictures to model that subtraction. So in this lesson, a flat will represent one whole. Okay. A 10 rod will represent 1/10. Because you'll notice in the flats that each column is 1/10 of the whole. In other words, it would take 10 rods to make up one flat, right? So these are 1/10 of one. And we'll use the base 10 units, the little squares, to represent 1/100th. Okay, so in order, it would be ones, tenths, hundredths. All right, so let's keep that in mind. So you can use base 10 blocks to help you find the difference between two decimals. Okay, use base 10 blocks to find 84 hundredths minus 56 hundredths. So let's model 84 hundredths. That means we have 8 tenths, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have 88 tenths. And 84 hundredths, there are 4 hundredths. So 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So we have 84 hundredths. Will we need to regroup? If we subtract 56 hundredths? Well, can you take away 6 hundredths? 1, 2, 3, 4. No, I can't, right? So yeah, we're going to have to regroup. So how can we get more hundredths? Well, if you take 1/10, okay. So yes, you need to regroup 1/10 as 10 hundredths. So when we have 84 hundredths, we have to take away 56 hundredths. Well, we're going to start in the hundredths place, right? And right now I only have 4 hundredths. So how can I take away 6? I can't. So I'm going to take one of the tenths and I'm going to trade it for 10 hundredths. Okay. So we have 10 hundredths that we traded from the tenths. Okay, now can you take away 6 hundredths? Yes, so let's take away 6. 4, 5, 6. All right. Now we have to remove 5 tenths. Can we do that? Yeah. 2, 4, 5. So what are we left with? We're left with 2 tenths and 8 hundredths. So our answer is 28 hundredths. Okay. So what happens if you remove the tenths first and then the hundredths? You would still need to regroup. You still wouldn't have enough hundredths. If you only had 4 hundredths, you still wouldn't have enough to take away 6 hundredths. So you still would have to take and regroup more the tenths. So you'd still need to regroup 1/10 for 10 hundredths to subtract 6 hundredths. All right. Well, let's see. If two decimals are both less than 1, what do you know about the difference between them? Well, what's the greatest decimal less than 1 in the hundredths place? Well, that would be 0.99, right? What would be the smallest hundredth less than 1? 0.01, right? So these are both less than 1. If I subtract 1 hundredth from 99 hundredths, that's the biggest hundredths I can get. If you take away 1 hundredth from 99 hundredths, that's just going to give you 98 hundredths. Okay, so what do we know about two decimals less than 1? The difference has to be less than 1. All right, let's continue. All right, we can use quick pictures to subtract decimals that need to be regrouped. So use a quick picture to model 2 and 82 hundredths, take away 1 and 47 hundredths. So I'm going to show you with the models first. Okay, so we'd have 2 hundredths, 8 tenths, and back out there. Okay, so 8 tenths and 2 hundredths. All right, now it says we have to take away 1 and 47 hundredths. So we're going to start with the hundredths. We need to take away 7 hundredths. We only have 2 hundredths. So that's not possible, right? So I need to trade one of the tenths for 10 hundredths. Okay, so 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 hundredths. Now, can we take away 700? Can we take away 7 hundredths? Sure. So 2, 4, 6, 7. Okay, so we took away 7 hundredths. Now we look at the next place value. We have to take away 4 tenths. I can take away 4 tenths. I don't need to regroup that. So take away the 4 tenths. And then we need to take away 1 whole. Okay. So take away 1 whole. What are we left with? We're left with 1 whole, 3/10, and 5 hundredths. So 1 and 35 hundredths. So what would that look like with a picture? So were there enough hundredths to remove? No. So if there were not enough hundredths, regroup. So here's the picture of it. These represent the ones. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hundredths. I'm sorry, 8 tenths. And we had 2 hundredths. But I couldn't remove 7 hundredths. So I removed one of the tenths. Okay, so that's what that represents. And the arrow shows that I traded the 1/10 for 10 hundredths. We then removed 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hundredths. So this part of the picture shows when I removed the 7 hundredths. Okay, so then step 2 was subtract the tenths. Were there enough tenths to remove? Yes. Okay, and so we had to remove 4 tenths. So you'll see here 1, 2, 3, 4. So we'll circle those and cross out the 4 tenths. So we subtracted them, they're no longer there. That left us with 3 tenths and the 5 hundredths. Finally, it said remove the 100ths, the ones. So we would circle one of the 1 blocks, put an X in it to represent that we subtracted it. So draw a quick picture of your answer. So what are we left with? We're left with 1. We're left with 3 tenths and 5 hundredths. So our answer is 1 and 35 hundredths. Okay, so let's keep going. So complete the quick picture to find the difference. All right, so we see that we have 62 hundredths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tenths and 2 hundredths. I have to take away 18 hundredths. Well, let's start with the hundredths. Can we take 8 hundredths from the 2 hundredths? No. So we're going to take one of the tenths and exchange it for 10 hundredths. Okay. Now can we take away 8 hundredths? Sure. So 2, 4, 6, 8. So circle or box 8 of them and cross them out. Okay, so we've taken away 8 hundredths now. And in the next part of our picture, we have to take away 1/10. So what are we left with? We're left with 1, 2, 3, 4 tenths and 2 4 hundredths. So 62 hundredths, take away 18 hundredths is 44 hundredths. Okay, number 2, draw a quick picture for 3 and 41 hundredths, take away 1 and 74 hundredths. So we're going to represent the 3 with 3 boxes. The 4 tenths of 41 hundredths would be 4 lines. And we would have 1 hundredths. And we're asked to take away 1 and 74 hundredths. So let's start with the hundredths. Can I take away 4 hundredths? No. So we're going to have to trade one of the tenths for 10 hundredths. Okay. So now can we take away 400ths? Yes. So box 400ths and cross them out. Now we have to take away 7/10. Well, I only have 3/10 left. So I'm going to have to regroup from the ones place. So I'm going to circle that, cross it out, because I'm going to exchange it for 10 ones, for 10/10. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. So we traded the 1 for 10/10. Can we take away 7/10? Yes. 5, 5, 6, 7. 7/10. So we're left with 6/10. And then finally, we're required to take away 1/1. So we can take that away. So what are we left with? We're left with 1, 6/10, and 2, 4, 6, 7 hundredths. So 1 and 67 hundredths. Okay, number 3. So what would the picture be for 84 hundredths? Well, we'd have 8/10. And it's easier to go ahead and keep a space because we know that that's 5. Okay, so it's easier to subtract that way. So if we have 8/10, we have 4 hundredths. And we have to take away 57 hundredths. Well, let's start with the hundredths. Do we have 7 hundredths to take away? No, I can only take away 4. So I'm going to have to trade one of the tenths for 10 hundredths. Okay, so again, we regrouped one of the tenths for 10 more hundredths. Now we can take away 7 hundredths. So 2, 4, 6, 7 hundredths. I'm going to cross those out. We're taking them away. Now we have to take away 5/10. Can we take away 5/10? Yeah, this is 5/10 right there. All right, what are we left with? We're left with 2/10 and 2, 4, 6, 7 hundredths. So our answer is 27 hundredths. Number 4. 4 and 5 hundredths. Well, that picture would be 4 squares. There aren't any tenths. And 5 hundredths. We have to take away 1 and 61 hundredths. Let's start with the hundredths. Can we take away 1 hundredths? Sure. All right, so we took away 1 hundredths. Can we take away 6/10? No, I can't take away 6/10. There aren't any tenths. So we're going to have to trade one of the ones for 10/10. Okay, now can I take away 6/10? Yes. And finally, we have to take away 1/1. All right, so what are we left with? We're left with 2 ones, 4/10, and 4 hundredths. So we have 2 and 44 hundredths. Number 5, 1 and 37 hundredths. So we represent that with 1, 2, 3/10, and 7 hundredths. And we have to take away 52 hundredths. So start with the 2 hundredths. Can we take away 2 hundredths? Yeah, there's plenty. All right, can we take away 5/10? No, there's only 3. So we're going to trade one of the ones for 10/10. Okay, now can we take away 5/10? Sure. All right, so what are we left with? We're left with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sorry, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8/10 and 5/100. So our answer is 85/100. Number 6. Write a decimal subtraction equation that requires regrouping from the tenths. Explain how you know you'll need to regroup. Well, there's a bunch of different possibilities, but basically we need the number that we take away to be greater than the hundredths. So I don't know, something like that. Now, how do I know that I'm going to have to regroup? Because I can't take 8/100ths from 4/100ths. So again, 1 in 34/100ths take away 1 in 28/100ths. I know I have to regroup from the tenths because I can't take 8/100ths from 4/100ths. So I need to take 1 of the tenths. All right. Number 7. Antonio left his math book on his desk during lunch. The quick picture shows the problem he was working on when he left. Write a word problem that can be solved using the quick picture above. Well, first off, what was his original number? Okay. Well, his original number was 1, 2, 3. And how many tenths did he have? He had 5 6/10, and he had 7/100ths. Okay. Then what was he taking away? Well, he took away 2 ones. He took away 1, 2, 3, 4/10, and he took away 2/100ths. So that's what the original problem was. So now just write a word problem. So I don't know. Okay, so you have 3 and 67/100ths of something, right? You've completed or done 2 and 42/100ths of it. How much more does he have? So solve the problem. Well, my problem is 3 and 67/100ths. And I need to take away 2 and 42/100ths. Can I take away 2/100ths? Yes. Can I take away 4/10ths? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes. Can I take away 2 ones? Yes. So that leaves me 1, 2/10ths, and 5/100ths. So 1 and 25/100ths left to paint. All right, describe how you can change the problem by changing the quick picture. Well, what do we just take away, change the number that we're subtracting? Because right now we didn't have to regroup anything. I could change my quick picture by having to have to regroup. So so like change it to 2 and 48/100ths. Because we would have to, the picture would change because we'd have to change, you would have to regroup. The problem changes to 3.67, take away 2.48, which would be 1 and 19/100ths. All right, and the price of a box of markers, number 8. The price of a box of markers at a retail store is $4.65. The price of a box of markers at the school bookstore is $3.90. How much more do the markers cost at the retail store? Explain how you can use a quick picture to solve the problem. All right, so we're going to have 4 and 65/100ths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6/10ths, and 5/100ths. And we have to take away 3.90. $3.90. Well, let's start with the hundredths. Can you take away 0/100ths? Yeah, that means don't change it. Don't take any of the hundredths away. Can you take away 9/10ths? Well, not right now because there's only 6/10ths. So let's regroup from the ones and give 10/10ths. Okay, now can we take away 9? Sure. So that's going to leave us 7/10ths. And we have to take away 3 ones. All right. So we're left with 7/10ths and 5/100ths. So we're left with 75 cents. How can you use the quick picture? Okay, well, there weren't enough tenths to subtract 9 tenths. So I regrouped 1, 1 for 10 tenths. After subtracting the ones. Okay, so 75 cents. There weren't enough tenths to subtract 9 tenths. Okay, I saw that. So I regrouped one of the tenths. And then after I subtracted the ones, that left me with 7 tenths and 5 hundredths. So 75 hundredths. Okay, so in the next lesson that we will talk about, we'll be talking about estimating decimals, sums, and differences. So until then, I will see you soon.